Hi everyone, my name is Amber.
I'm Jasma, and welcome back to another episode of the Off the Charts podcast. This is the podcast where we chat with experienced artists and hear about their journey to getting to where they are today.
And today we have a very special guest with us here. We have Carina. So we're going to explain to you guys a little bit about Carina before we get into our discussion. Carina is an 18-year-old singer, dancer, actress, and model from Ontario, Canada, who has been driven by a passion for the arts as a multifaceted creative for years. Having recently graduated from the arts program at Unionville High School in Markham, Ontario, Carina is an original member of the all-girl pop rock group, Girl Pow-R. They advocate for self-expression, female empowerment, and overall awareness of various social causes through their music and social media platforms.
In fact, their debut album, This Is Us, actually went on to be nominated for a JUNO in the Children's Album of the Year category. And following her incredible success as a band member, Carina went on to release her own solo single, Just Groove, and also has some exciting new original music to be released soon in a variety of different musical genres. So that's a lot of fun stuff that we're so excited to talk about. So thank you so much for being here, Carina.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. Well, first, before we get into everything, I do want to mention I am not having a disco party in my house. This is unfortunately for our visual watchers, you may see some flickering. You can just ignore that. But besides that point, Carina, we were so excited to talk to you. We kind of alluded to it in the beginning, but you have had an incredible career, even just thus far as an 18-year-old. So we're going to kind of talk about some things, talk about Girl Power and what you guys do. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. All right, so let's kick it off with our very first question, talking about how you got into this. So, clearly when we were kind of chatting a little bit in the beginning, it seems like you have a lot of support from your family and friends, and it's amazing. So how has that support helped you in launching such a successful career?
Yeah, so I have some amazing friends from Unionville High School who are also involved in the arts, of course, because they have the arts program at Unionville High School. So that's been amazing. And I've gotten to know some awesome people for sure that I've gotten to collaborate with and things like that. And then my dad and my brother are also both musicians and songwriters. And
Nice.
my brother actually went to school for musical theater at Sheridan. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's really just awesome to have their support and also to be able to look up to them.
So were they the ones that kind of drove you into being interested in music, dancing, and all those different types of art forms that you do?
Yes, for sure. Like, I grew up watching my brother. He did competitive dance for many years, so I got into competitive dance. And my dad is also a vocal coach, so I've been taking lessons from him.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So you kind of have everything at your disposal. That's amazing that it runs
Honestly,
in the family.
yeah. And then, like, my mom is, like, the stage mom, dance mom, costumes, props, and
The
all
whole
that.
package.
Oh my God, amazing. So yeah, you got your family. That's amazing. So we even mentioned it before. You do a lot of different art forms. You participate in a lot. You started off with dance, I believe it was at the age of 4. You started doing competitive dance. And then you moved into music and you do acting and modeling. So I guess talk to us a little bit about how you decided to venture into so many different art forms and how they're kind of like interrelated for you, if they are.
I mean, like, honestly, for me, like, people always ask me if I like one better than the other, but I honestly don't. I started singing and dancing actually around the same time. I think I just took dancing more serious at first because, I don't know, it was just easier to develop a schedule in terms of competitive dance. It's like, okay, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's just, like,
Right.
easier. Like, you just go with that. But for me, doing, like, singing lessons at home with my dad, I could kind of make my own schedule, so I didn't do it as much at first. But then with Girl Power, I got more into the whole songwriting thing and everything. So that helped me a lot, like, with writing music and just, like, even like producing music. I've learned a lot about because I have a home studio with my dad, so I've been able
Right.
to produce my solo original songs at home, like especially during quarantine. That's been really awesome to have. um but I would say just like what started everything is honestly, yeah, like my family. And when I started getting into dance, I actually started dancing when I was 2 and singing
Oh,
actually when
okay.
I was 2. Yeah, I started singing and dancing at the same time pretty much, but I started competitive dancing when I was 4. And actually, my first solo when I was 4 years old at competition was a song and dance solo. So I was singing and dancing. So
Oh
that's like what
wow.
started it all. Yeah.
Right.
So
So you kind of did it from the get-go.
Honestly, yeah. Like, it was mostly musical theater stuff at first because at dance competitions, like, I'm not really going to sing. You could, but like, typically it won't be like a pop song that you sing. It'll be more, musical
Right.
theater, Broadway based. But, I mean, yeah. I just loved it from the start.
And did you always like it? Because I know a lot of people who kind of get thrown into different types of stuff when they're super young, kind of grow out of it or figure out what they actually like later on. So did you always like these different types of arts?
Um, I mean, yes, I've always loved it. Like, that's an easy question for me. I've always loved singing and dancing, even acting too. I've always loved playing a character in different musicals and things like that. Um, but it can get stressful at
I
times
can
for
imagine,
sure.
yeah.
Especially competitive dance. Like, it's really hard to not, compare yourself to other people. Because you're just constantly being marked and judged by actual judges. Like we would go to like between 4 to 6 competitions a year, and I did competitive dance from the age of 4 to 18 every single year.
Wow. That's
Yeah, so
insane.
it's a
you-
lot. And in my last year, I had like 14 competitive dances, so it was like a lot.
Oh my God, that's you're like back to back. Wow. But you bring up an amazing point actually, is that with all of that, the wonderfulness that comes with being an artist in these various forms, there comes a lot of scrutiny because you're basically creating things or performing for other people to judge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how being that you've been so involved in that, especially in your teenage years when you're trying to figure yourself out, like how has that impacted things?
I mean, I've suffered with anxiety for sure. It can get hard. Like I talked about competitive dance being stressful, but even singing can be stressful because, not everyone is going to like everyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And different styles and things like that might not be someone else's cup of tea, but that's totally fine. And at the end of the day, I remind myself that I do this for me and not for anyone else. And if I like what I'm putting out there, then that's all that matters, you know?
Preach. Oh my God, yes.
That's
we need
amazing,
that.
right? So yeah, like I mean, you talked about a little bit of how you dealt with it. Do you have any other advice for people who may also be suffering from like, lacking of confidence because they feel like they're always being judged by other people? Like, how would you recommend other young girls or other young artists to deal with this type of judgment and criticism all the time?
I mean, I always just say be yourself because everyone else is taken, and that just makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like it's just everyone is unique and everyone is here for a reason.
Right.
So, I guess like coping things would be, like I don't want to make competitive dance sound bad or anything like that. Like I loved it,
For sure.
but of course it can be stressful. Like, because I'm a perfectionist, and so if something
Right.
does not go perfectly, like a turn does not go perfectly on stage, like I am so hard on myself about it. So I guess I would just say reminding yourself that you don't have to be perfect all the time, and like everyone makes mistakes, and that's how you learn, and that's how you grow, and we're all becoming the best version of ourselves.
Oh, that's amazing. You know what? Having that mantra, especially like starting out, even so young, is like so important to realize. And the fact that you want other people to feel that way as well is just amazing. So good for you. We also talked about in the beginning the fact that you did an arts program in high school. Now that's actually something I know that a lot of young people think about, especially if they are leaning towards the arts. Now clearly you had a more of a path before high school as well, coming into the arts. But how did that benefit you? Would you recommend that to people? Like maybe eyeing things out to see if they really like the arts, if they want to take it seriously, things like that?
I mean, yeah, I definitely recommend it to people because arts is like a coping mechanism for stress and anxiety for a lot of people. For me, especially because I actually was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis when I was 12 years old. So I was a sick kids patient until I was 18, and that caused me a lot of anxiety in terms of missing school for like appointments and treatments and things like that. I don't really talk to a lot of people about this, but I just thought I would bring it up because I don't know, like if anyone can relate, you know. And so yeah, music and dance and even acting, things like that is what really helped me and connected me with other people that supported me. And so, sorry, I might have gotten sidetracked there
No,
from
oh
the
my gosh,
question,
not
but
at all.
but yeah, like I would just say like honestly, if you have a goal, like go for it and try not to get things like anxiety and stress. Like try not to let those things get in the way because everyone deals with it differently. But take the time that you need to cope with it. So take time for self-care, but also don't let it stand in the way of achieving your dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. I was curious to hear though, because you did talk about how doing art is kind of like therapy for you. It's for enjoyment, but you also do it as like a career. You also do it for work, you do it for competitions, and that's like kind of a different type of like there's a different purpose for that. So how have you been able to balance that? Has the blurred line between that been difficult figuring out, like at what point should you be thinking of it as a type of therapy? At what point is it meant to just be pure work and pure competition? Has that made it difficult for you to like kind of balance out the way you view your type of art?
I mean, like when it comes to doing the Arts Unival program at UHS, that was not a competition setting, so it felt very different. And so yeah, like going back to the other question, I would definitely recommend it just because arts in schools is amazing. It was hard to balance the more academic studies sometimes,
Right.
but I actually ended up graduating with honors, so but
Good for you.
but
Amazing.
thanks. But honestly, like time management skills is like number one thing, like key to success. That's what I would say to everyone, is just like work on creating a schedule and like agendas for every day. I am sometimes guilty of not doing that, but you know what? I'm gonna get back on track and start doing that again, because like honestly, like that's what keeps you on track and helps you to not forget things.
Right.
And so like yeah, going back to what you were saying about balancing, I would just say it's really important to not only schedule everything in your life like academic studies and art studies and things so that you have time for all of that, but also take time for yourself as well, like self-care, even just like reading a book, and taking time for relaxation, like watching TV and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you probably even answered this too, but I would love to know because as those of our viewers and listeners know, we love stalking people before they come, just to get to know, feel the waters. So, you know, we were looking into you and your work, and you have been recognized on a national and international level. I mean, JUNO awards, your interviews, and you're so young. So, like, having not even just the work in academic life, but like the work in teen life, has that been in the way of things, or has that even helped you? Because I would assume that you're forced to kind of grow up a little faster in that setting, no? I mean, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, like what you're saying about being forced to grow up faster. Honestly, yeah. Even just being in the music industry, I feel like you're surrounded by a lot of people that are, you know, older than you. Like, for example, like at the JUNO nominee press conference, we were like the only like under 18 people there, because I was 17
Right.
at the time, which was an amazing experience, by the way, because we were actually the first people who were under 18 to be nominated for Children's Album of the Year, because in past years it was adults who made children's music, so like that was really exciting.
History.
And we're going to talk about
Making
this in
history.
depth, because that was like an incredible achievement we're going to talk about.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, I mean, it's hard sometimes to find time to hang out with friends and things like that, and I feel bad because it's like I never try to like, you know, not have close relationships with anyone, but like sometimes people will be like, oh, do you want to go to the mall on Saturday? I'm like, I can't. Like I have a Girl Pow-R performance, or like I have dance and stuff. But the pandemic kind of brought me closer to people because there wasn't as much performing and we can just do Zoom calls and things like that. So that's good.
Well, talking about working in an adult industry and being surrounded by adults all the time, like that type of interaction and the way you have to essentially network and interact with those type of people, people don't
Yeah.
teach you about those things. They don't teach you how you're supposed to act around adults and
How do you
different types
adults
of
with
people.
adults?
Like, like what are some advice? What are some experiences that you would like to share about? Because you know, not everyone gets to work in that type of setting and be surrounded by like professionals in their fields on a regular basis. So like, what are some important things that you've learned about that?
Well, honestly, like I guess I am an adult now, like adulting. Like I'm gonna be
She's an
19.
adult. She's an adult guy.
I'm gonna be 19 April 9th, so
Coming up. Wow.
yeah. Oh my god, I'm scared because like I'm closer to 20 than I am to like 17. Like
That's
but
crazy
anyways.
to think about.
Oh my god,
I
don't tell
know.
that to us. We're gonna start freaking out now too.
Yeah, oh my god, scary. But anyways, like in Girl Pow-R we actually do talk about things like that. So our manager will coach us in interview skills and how to, I guess, portray ourselves at different events and things. So we actually do talk about maturity and how to handle things. And like sometimes there'll be certain situations where some interviewer will want to know if there's drama within the group in Girl Power. And like we have an answer for that, because it's like, why would we, like, not that there is drama in the group, but like let's say one person and another person like one time like 2 years ago was like fighting for a solo or something like that. We're not going to be like, oh yeah, like there was this one time, like you know what I mean? Like we're not going to
Just
talk
like
about
laying
that.
all the dirty laundry out there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we actually do practice those kinds of things a lot. And I'm the oldest member in Girl Power, so I actually have to be a role model in that way to all the other girls.
Right. I mean, well, we've talked so much about girl power. We have to start talking
Let's talk about
officially
girl
now about girl
power.
power. Let's talk about it because it's amazing. So, talk to us. I know we did a little bit of an intro, but we probably didn't do enough justice. Tell us a little bit about how girl power came to be, what you guys are doing, and what you guys are hoping to do in the future.
Yeah, sure. So Girl Power was put together by a process of auditions, and it was held by Canyon Entertainment Group, and they are, Ontario based, mostly Toronto based, but there's girls from all over Ontario actually. And we are an all girl pop rock group. We sing, we dance, we act, we play instruments, and we also have social causes. And my social cause is called Give Peace a Chance.
That's so amazing.
Wow.
So everyone is like takes on basically a different social cause to advocate for it.
Yes, like one of my friends, her name is Ida Maria, so she advocates for anxiety because she actually has GAD, so generalized anxiety disorder.
Oh,
And
wow.
something that we put together actually, like she led it, but I'm like supporting her in it. I'm kind of being her partner in crime. Is we actually are working hand in hand with Stephen Lecce and a couple other people to put together a program that we're going to be doing to implement into the schools to advocate for mental health and also bringing music into schools to be like a stress reliever for kids that may need it right now.
That's amazing. Wow, good for you guys. So you really are trying to get to like teaching our generation about that intersection actually between arts, music, and advocating for yourself and self-care and self-love.
Honestly, yeah, yeah, exactly. Like there's so many things that I didn't know about mental health until like this year because I decided to like take the time to educate myself on it. And so I think it's really important to be talked about in schools for sure. So we want to talk about it. And we're going to be interviewing different psychologists and things like that as a part of Youth Day Toronto for 2021. And so Youth Day is an event that usually takes place at Yonge and Dundas Square every July. This year it's going to be online, of course. And so we're doing 12 different segments. Me and the other girl, Ina Maria, who's like the girl who has a social cause that's anxiety. We're going to be doing 12 different segments that are all about mental health.
That's really cool work. And I love the idea of kind of combining the advocacy aspect into a arts and musical group because I don't really think I've heard that concept before. So like what are like how have you been able to I mean like are you guys doing this type of advocacy apart from Girl Power or like how am I phrasing this?
Where does it intertwine? Like where does this social justice kind of aspect come into girl power? Is that through the
And like
music? Is
the
that just
music
through
part, yeah.
right? Exactly.
So it's actually through like everything, everything that we do. So we write songs about different social causes that we have. So like we have our song "Stronger Than Yesterday," which is a message about learning from the past and maturing and growing and everything like that. We have a song called Chrissy, which is about anti-bullying, which is a girl named Chrissy who like went through bullying, and so we kind of she's not a real girl. She's just like she's the name that
Right.
we
Yeah.
use, but we
Yeah.
kind of took all of our own experiences and put it into that song. And so yeah, it's through music and it's also through advocating. So we do speeches. So I actually did a speech 2 years in a row at Youth Day Toronto, which was the event I talked about before.
Right. That's amazing. So this kind of goes beyond just the music aspect of being a girl group. This is about really trying to change the world through music. If I can even say it like that because I mean that's really what you guys are doing with all of that you do. So we can't even we got to talk about the elephant in the room, the fact that you guys were nominated for a Juno. And you even mentioned this, the youngest I guess nominees in that group for Children's Album of the Year, I believe it was, to ever be nominated. How did you find the news? How did you react? And what was that entire process like?
Yeah, so we got invited to the JUNO nominee press conference, which was January 2020. And so yeah, we were like there, we were like chilling. Alessia Cara is like there. We like met Alessia
Oh my
Cara and
god,
everything.
amazing!
Yeah, and so she was the host, right?
Right, yeah.
And so yeah, and then we heard our name being called for Children's Album of the Year, and then like later on we found out that it was the first time that like people under 18 were nominated for Children's Album of the Year, so that made it more amazing. And we were just honestly super stoked. It's amazing, and we're really thankful.
Yeah.
How has that changed the things that you guys are doing? Like, are you able to create change on a bigger scale now? Are your events, like, you have longer term goals? Like, how has that impacted you guys as a girl group?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we weren't able to actually go to the Juno Awards. We were actually invited to walk the red carpet on the Sunday night award show, but that didn't get to happen because it was canceled due to
Yeah.
COVID.
Right.
But me and another Girl Power member actually still decided to go to Saskatoon, which was where it was supposed to be held. So we got to kind of experience Saskatoon. I'd never been there. It was fun. I mean, like, it was kind of weird times because it was like, wait, is today March 12th? What day is it?
Yeah.
Oh my
March
God.
12th? Yeah, so it was actually
March 12th.
A year ago?
it was actually exactly a year ago.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Well, you won't be listening or watching this on March 12th, but when we're recording, it's March
Yeah.
12th. It's
Yeah.
officially a year. Wow.
Time flies, doesn't it?
Oh my
That's
God.
insane.
We've been at home for a year. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What are we doing? But yeah, so that's incredible. Like, so proud also, because I know so many media outlets and news people from Toronto and from York region were like, you guys are basically representing us on a national scale. Did you feel that? Were like people telling you kind of how you guys were representing not only our generation but Toronto and Canada in that way?
Yeah, we received a lot of support, not only from my friends and family and everything, which was amazing, but from like people I don't even know, like on social media, we're reaching out and everything, and
Right.
like commenting and liking, and we gained like some new followers, which is always good. And yeah, different interviews we did was like City TV, 105.9, the region radio station.
These are all
like
Toronto radio
CBC.
stations, by the way, for our international listeners or viewers.
Yeah.
If you're Torontonian, you'll know.
And also, I think CBC Kids as well was one.
Amazing.
So yeah, I mean, all those interviews were a lot of fun, and it just like was like, wow, like this is like a huge moment for me. It was like a breakthrough moment, you know?
Right, yeah.
Well, we've talked about you as a group, but now I want to talk a little bit about you as a solo artist, because going into COVID, going into quarantine, you have released your own solo piece called Just Groove. And I think that's really cool because, transitioning from working in a group to doing art on your own, that must be some sort of transition. So, like, how has that experience been for you?
Yeah, so I actually got to write that song and work on the music with my dad. So his name is Carlo Bianchini. And I guess I learned a lot about songwriting, not only in Girl Power, but growing up. I would kind of like write my own songs just about like random things. But it was a good experience for me, especially at the time because of COVID. I was feeling kind of down because of everything that was going on. So I was like, why not write a song about just shaking your cares away and just grooving and just living in the moment and dancing? Because I feel like everyone kind of needs that, right?
Yeah.
So,
especially
yeah.
now.
Yeah, so I wrote it and filmed the music video in the summer. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Wow. So what is your creative process like for poetry? I know you were saying it's kind of like it comes to you when you want to write it, you write it, but some of the topics that you talk about, I would imagine they're hard to translate, I guess, in the right way through music and through songs and through performance in general. So how do you kind of get in the headspace of doing that?
It can be hard to get the message across in song lyrics. It's very different from writing like a poem or a story and things like that. Well, actually, I guess it's similar to writing a poem, but it's not really. It was very different, for example, from what I did in like grade 12 English. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Because like every line and every verse and every chorus and every bridge has to have like just a certain number of words. It can't be too wordy, too lengthy, or anything like that. It has to flow properly. Each phrase has to be like completed before the next one starts.
Right.
So yeah, it can be challenging, but honestly, like if I'm just gonna be honest, like all my songs I've written in like one day. It honestly just like flows. It just
amazing.
flows. But I always make sure I have the music done first, so I get the vibe for the music and then the lyrics after that. Because after I can listen to the music, I'm like, okay, I want this to be the melody, like a rough melody. I do like a rough draft of a melody, and then I make the words fit the melody.
Oh, that's very interesting. Did you learn to do that? Like, how did you, because you talked about learning about production and, having to create your own types of songs. So, like, how did you learn about doing those types of things?
I guess a combination of my dad being a musician and a singer and songwriter, and also being in Girl Power as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that you can write it in one day, I cannot imagine how painful it would be for me to try and write a song, because that it takes a lot of work. Not a lot of people realize. Like, if you're actually right. If you've taken like a poetry, even though it's not the same thing, if you've taken like a poetry unit or something like that, you'll know it's like you really have to be in a certain headspace to just kind of get everything going. So that's amazing that you've kind of built yourself a process that you can do that. You know, talking also, even going back to what we talked about being a young artist in this big music industry, this the arts industry in general. What are some challenges that you faced? You know, like, I mean, again, like we talked about it, it probably is hard to be so young and already doing so much in the industry, or maybe even as a woman and as a female, maybe you've experienced some, you know, misogyny or discrimination in that way. So can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I haven't really faced any discrimination. Maybe I just haven't had like the opportunity to yet. Like maybe as I get older and I start working with maybe more bigger people, like I don't really know what's gonna happen. Like bigger people in the industry, it could happen because I've heard a lot about that. You know, from other like singers and celebrities and things like that. We all know the different stories and things that have happened that people have gone through that they've made public, which is like really terrible things. So I'm hoping everyone can learn from what's gone on in the past, and there can be no discrimination against like girls and women and things like that. But honestly, I think what stands in the way sometimes is my own anxiety. Like honestly, I feel like there's so many like shots that I could have taken, like so many chances that I could have taken, or opportunities that I was like, oh, like should I perform here? Like should I submit myself for this? But like I I just like sometimes get scared, honestly. And like maybe it's to like people watching or to you that might be surprising, because everyone's always like, "Oh, Carina, like you come off like so confident, like you come across so like confident and everything." And I'm like, but but yeah, like I would just say to other people, don't let your anxiety get in the way. For me with Girl Pow-R, that was even like taking a chance. I was obviously really nervous to audition and everything, but if I hadn't have done that, my life would probably be completely different than it is now. So I'm really thankful for the chances that I have taken. And I mean, other than like what you were saying, just to go back to your question, other than my own anxiety sometimes standing in the way, which is a struggle that I'm growing from and working on and stuff, I guess it's just like judgment from other people sometimes. Like I have received like a small amount of hate on social media, like here and there. But like nothing, like I don't want to be like, I don't want to make people like feel sorry for me or anything. Like nothing crazy, but like yeah, like it does happen. And like also like sometimes just feeling insecure about how you look and like things like that. Everyone goes through it, but I feel like performers, it's like heightened, you know. So
yeah, those are all very common issues, especially on social media these days. So like how are some ways that you've been able to cope with that? Like I don't know, some people reflect, they journal, or they speak with other people. So like what are some things that you've actively done once you've realized those were things that you were feeling as an obstacle?
Well, I mean, my mom is always there to talk to me when I need to, along with, I have like good friends from UHS and also from my dance studio, which I don't go there anymore because I graduated, but it was K&K Dance Dreams in Markham. So yeah, I have a lot of good friends from there. And also, I guess like other passions of mine is like makeup and like hair and like fashion and things like that. So that always makes me feel better when I can like get out of bed in the morning and put on a fit that I like and like, take pictures or film a TikTok or something like that. It just like helps me feel productive. And I also have my own tie-dye business as well, which is like a cool hobby for me. Yes. So on Instagram, it's at to die for shop. So yeah.
Yes, we're gonna link everything in description. So make sure to go check her out and buy some tie-dye. I'm gonna buy some tie-dye. I want some tie-dye. Just as we've, first of all, thank you so much for everything that you've shared thus far, because it's been so amazing to hear, especially from someone who's not only from Toronto, but being so young and still doing all this and having all these experiences. You have so much to share. In concluding things, I would love to ask, before we kind of wrap things up, you talk about how much you love the arts. We love the arts, the podcast. Hopefully people watching or listening love the arts. We tend to see a lot of stigmatization behind the arts and getting into the arts as a career, especially for young teenagers maybe deciding what they want to do with their lives. So what is your kind of like opinion on that? And what would you say to youth creatives and youth artists who want to pursue music or dancing or acting, but they just don't feel supported enough to do so?
Yeah, I mean, like, that breaks my heart that people don't always feel supported in what they want to do, because I don't know what I would do without the support from my family and friends and everyone. But I would just say, like, go for your dreams, and even if something doesn't work out the way you planned or the way that you had hoped, I like it's hard for me to say sometimes because there are like really terrible things that happen to people, but if we all try and believe that everything happens for a reason, then that will ultimately give us that positive mindset, and things actually will find its way back, and everything will find its way back into place and work its way out. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I would just say, don't listen to the haters. Like, don't listen to people that bring you down. Surround yourself with people that support you in your career. And back to what I was saying about if something doesn't go your way or if something doesn't work out, there's always like career paths that you can take that might not be exactly what you thought you would be doing but are similar. So like for example, like of course I would love to be like Ariana Grande, like on stage, like okay, like world tour, but like especially like not just because of opportunity wise, but even just the state of the world right now, it's not possible for like anyone, right? So instead I'm teaching dance classes on Zoom. So that's like one way that I've gone into my field without doing maybe what I had expected to do, like when I was little and people were like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's like, a singer, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, like, yeah, there's always different paths you can take and different things that you can do to make the best out of a situation.
Yeah, well, it's really cool that you've been doing other things in quarantine, teaching dance classes, having your own tie-dye business. So I guess to wrap things up, what's next for you? What are your goals for
That's
the
the
future? Now that you're, you're almost 19 now, you have, the world ahead of you. What do you plan on doing once, I don't know, COVID is over? What do you want to do in your career?
So I would love to get back into performing once COVID is over, of course, because it's something that I miss a lot. And honestly, like, I feel like I'm kind of getting a bit rusty. Like, the at-home performances online are just, like, not the same. Like, I need to, like...
vibe.
Yeah, you don't get the vibes. Like, you need to interact
Right.
with the crowd, you know? I recently found out that I got into UFT, so I might be going there. Thank you.
Good for
I might be
you.
going there, but I'm waiting to hear back from Ryerson as well. So I'm going to, like,
Amazing.
decide between those two schools. Both are for Bachelor of Arts, so yeah, I don't know. I'll see. It's like two different programs. So like Ryerson is a professional music program, which I applied to but I haven't heard from, and then UFT is the humanities program, which is like under the Faculty of Arts and Science. And so yeah, both would be awesome programs. So I'm just waiting to kind of hear back from Ryerson and then gather my thoughts and like decide.
Right.
And then so yeah, that's for September 2021. And then other than that, it's just working on that program that me and my friend from Girl Pow-R, Ida Maria, want to implement into the schools, and we're also going to be hosts at Youth Day 2021, as I mentioned before. So yeah, just a lot of stuff,
Amazing.
including like advocating for mental health and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so clearly a lot ahead of your path, but I mean, clearly you can manage it as well. And we're so excited to see where life takes you, whether that be at, Ryerson or U of T, where we'll be waiting to hear, or, on a stage somewhere, years down the line, maybe you'll be our Toronto Ariana Grande. That's what we're going to be pushing for.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you so much, Carina, for being here with us, for chatting, taking the time to talk to youth artists directly about how you've managed to take your passion and turn it into a career, and a very successful career, and a very meaningful career, and staying true to what you love, which is advocating for these causes through what you also love doing, which is the arts. So yeah, we cannot thank you enough for being here. All of Carina's socials, links, her tie-dye shop, buy some tie-dye, come on guys, will all be in descriptions on any audio or video platforms that you guys are watching this or listening to this too. And with that being said, I think that wraps things up. So please stay tuned for another episode very soon, and we will see you all soon. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Of course. Thank you. Bye.